Well, Greg McElroy certainly has a lot to say all the time, which is what he's paid to do. And what he said about Stetson Bennett is really kind of, adding to the narrative that it's really important that Stetson have a very steady and smart season in 2022. This is what Greg McElroy had to say about Stetson during G Day. He said Stetson's got to make a winning play every single time. A winning play might be an incompletion or taking a sack, being smart with the football, and never put your team in a difficult spot. Well, we've seen Stetson put Georgia in a difficult spot in the past. That's what's gotten, all the hate mail, so to speak, for Stetson online. That's why he went to a flip phone. But part of that's just being the quarterback at Georgia. We've also seen Stetson do some really good things. And I think for the Dogs, it's important for Stetson to be as steady as possible. That he's as old as he is, that matters a lot too. But Georgia coming into 2022, there are a lot of expectations for the Dogs, right? I mean, they're going to be a top three ranked team. They are a top two betting favorite to win obviously the league as well as the national championship. They are the odds-on favorite to win the SEC East. It would be pretty amazing, I would say, if Georgia doesn't win the SEC East, considering its competition and who they have to play in addition to Georgia. But for Stetson, his experience at this stage is really one of the most critical things I think he's got going for him. I mean, I think he started this off the top of my head. I think he started 20 football games for Georgia, and that's a pretty experienced starter. And he's played, I wonder how many snaps he's played. Certainly in the hundreds. I don't know if he's played 1,000 snaps at Georgia yet or not. Um, but this is not a young offense for Georgia. You do lose your best running backs in James Cook and Zamir White, but boy, besides Jermaine Burton, all of the skill comes back. I mean, you're talking about the return of Don Blaylock, Arian Smith should be healthy, Rosemary Jack Saint. I'm leaving out the tight ends who are the best group and they might be the best position group in the country, period. Obviously, they're the best tight ends group. But Brock Bowers, Darnell Washington, Eric Gilbert, um, I'll throw in Oscar Delp in there too. He looks different. Um, and then the return of the bulk of the offensive line. The question they have to do is the question that comes into this season is, who is for sure going to play left guard? It seems because the tackles are full. Tate Ratliff is going to be back on the right hand side probably. Um, Stetson's got a lot to work with here. And if you use it the right way, you could see an extremely explosive Georgia offense. That's what a lot of people behind the scenes say. That this team could be very explosive offensively. And when I check DAWGSTRUCTION, of which I am running out of copies, you need to order it now before I get on delay again. I do want to point out that we print this in Marietta. Um, so keep that in mind. But like for instance, so here's the Clemson game, right? That's the only game Georgia has failed to score 20 points. I mean, in today's college football, you're going to have to score, right? I mean, even against Alabama in the first game where they did not play well, they lose 24-41. They're still scoring a pile of points in every other game. 45 against Tech, 56 against uh, Charleston Southern, almost called them Western Carolina, against Tennessee, 41 of 17. This was really the game where it was hard to believe that JT Daniels was coming back. I mean, Stetson played that well in that game, and it was just kind of you were at the point where, are we sure that JT is coming back? No, the answer is no. And I mean, I remember talking with somebody. I was getting Christmas stuff down from the attic, and I think it was Matt DeBerry, but it might have been Dylan Weber. And I said I wouldn't be so quick to replace Stetson because just of the way he had played very well. But like Greg has to say, and let me read it one more time, Stetson has to make a winning play every single time. Now think about that. Every single time he's got to make the right play. Honestly, honestly, he should. I mean, we're talking about a guy that's been around the block. He was able to make the mistakes in 2020. He was able to make the mistakes in 2019. I was on the sideline when he was making mistakes in 2019, throwing a pick six, I believe it was in the second game of the season or the third, the home game just before Notre Dame. I mean, he threw it, and I'm not going to repeat what Kirby said, but he said, "You're too late." And with the ball, he's had time. That was 2019. I mean, Trayvon Walker's freshman year, he's the number one draft pick. He'll be playing for the Jags in the fall. Stetson's got another year at Georgia, and he threw a lot of footballs at Jones Community College. So Stetson is well prepared for the 22 season. Let's not forget, though, his biggest advocate, his biggest, the best really way to put it is his biggest evangelist was Todd Monken. I mean, Todd Monken came on hard before the Orange Bowl, man. I mean, he wasn't joking around. He was very I don't know if adamant is the best way I'd put it, but he was very firm in his conviction that the person that should be starting was Stetson, not JT, and they had decided it. There was no wishy-washy there. So he's got his guy back, right? I mean, I went to grad school at Georgia with a Georgia football player. And there's not a lot of guys like that on the football team because there's not a lot of people that go to grad school, generally speaking, right? That's a pretty intelligent crowd. Stetson's been around the block for a while. Stetson's allegedly going to go to law school, right? Stetson's smart enough to digest all this stuff and to perform. I always say it's time, right? I mean, the whole lead up to this 2021 season, I was saying it's time. It's time to win the national championship. This team is good enough. I mean, I don't have time to stick the clips together, but trust me, I said it plenty, and all of y'all watching, you know it. I think we're at the point with Stetson where he should be as close to flawless as is really, not ridiculous to expect. He it's obvious when we're on the field that with a few exceptions, he's in control. Now, he's not played well in Jacksonville yet. Is that something to watch? I don't know. And one reason he didn't play well in Jacksonville in 2020 is because he got hurt. Okay, that doesn't help. But I'm a little bit like McElroy here. I think the expectation has got to be ratcheted up for Stetson. I don't think he's got to be in New York at the end of the season for the Heisman. I also don't think it's out of the question. Yeah, you can clip this. Did you watch the last couple games he played? He played really well. All right. I also know that quarterbacks can make dumb plays. That's what they do. Um, I watched Deshaun Watson at Clemson do dumb stuff. I watched Matthew Stafford at Georgia do dumb stuff. I can go through a litany of things. You go back and watch the national championship game. How do you think this moment happened? Bryce Young did something that was dumb. He threw a ball he had no business throwing because he was getting his head ripped off half the game. So Stetson needs to avoid those things. We're talking about a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback in Bryce Young. I have high expectations of Stetson, and you should too.